What is going on? Welcome back to the vlog episode, I don't know, whatever episode this is. It's the second week of August, and so I have returned to the classroom to start teaching. I have had students for 2 days, and I'm exhausted. And it's only going to get worse later in August when I go back to my second school, and I don't know how I'm going to do all this, but regardless, I'm here to bring you some poker entertainment. It's a Wednesday. It's about 4 o'clock. I'm going to go in, play for a couple hours, try to make a little bit of cash and create some content. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Let's get to it.
In this first hand of the night, we're in +2 and we look down at ace-queen offsuit. There's 2 limpers before the action gets to me and I bump it up to $15. The player in +3 calls, the small blind calls, the big blind calls, and the player in +1 calls, so we're off to the flop 4 ways. The flop is ace-queen 8 with 2 spades, so I flop top 2 on a spade-heavy board. The action checks to me, and I fire out a bet of $20. It's way too small with over $60 in the pot already, and I'm giving spades a great price to call. However, only the small blind calls, so we're off to the turn heads up. The turn is a 5 of diamonds, and my opponent checks to me again. He only has about $60-ish left, so I go ahead and jam, and he doesn't think too long before folding, and we win this first hand.
Oh, he's good. Walking to the table.
Thank you.
In this hand, we're under the gun and we look down at pocket jacks. I'm going to open the action here for $12, and it folds around to a guy named Devin. Devin's a pretty competent player that I've played with a lot in the past, but hadn't played with recently. And Devin's going to go ahead and 3-bet me to $37. It folds back around to me, and I don't want to call and play this hand out of position. I want to apply pressure and try to fold out hands like king, queen, or some sort of weak ace. So with that in mind, I re-raise to $90. Devin tanks for about a solid minute. While he's thinking, I'm trying to put him on hands. I'm putting him on ace-queen, ace-jack, maybe ace-10, or maybe king-queen. Devin ends up making the call, so we're off to the flop out of position, heads up. The flop is king 7-5, and I pretty immediately shove all in. Again, I put him on about 4 hands, and of those 4 hands, only 1 is beating me. So, if he has a king, it's just kind of a cooler situation, but I really do think I'm good here. Devin doesn't think too long, and he ends up folding ace-queen face up. I decide to go ahead and show my hand because Devin's a cool guy, and he actually said he put me on jacks or 10s, which is why he just flat called. He was trying to hit a flop.
That's what I thought. That's the exact hand that I thought you had.
Really?
That's the exact hand. I was like, please put an ace or a queen on the flop. That's why I flat called. I didn't want to go all in.
Ace-queen was one of the hands I put you on.
Perhaps I played my hand a little bit face up, but I'd like to think that pocket kings and pocket aces would play the same way. So, I win this pot. We're in the cutoff now when we look down at ace-jack offsuit. There was an early position raise up to $5 that I didn't see, so thinking it's only $2 to call, I bumped the action up to $12. There are 2 callers to my very small raise, so we're off to the flop 3 ways. The flop is king, queen 3 with 2 diamonds. It checks around to Devin, who continues on for $20. I ask how much he has left, and he says about $145, so keeping this in mind, I make the call looking to bank a 10. The other player folds, we're heads up to a turn. The turn is a 2 of hearts, so not a 10. I don't think there's a need to bet, as the only thing I think I can probably fold out is either ace-10 or some sort of diamond draw, so I just end up checking and Devin checks as well. We're off to the river. The river is a 3 of clubs, and when the action gets to him, Devin leads for $100. I think he's definitely capable of firing off a bluff like this on the river, but that's all I really beat is a bluff, so I make the fold.
Only because I'm holding a diamond.
We are in the hijack this time, and we look down at ace-queen of spades. There's 2 limpers, and I bump the action up to $15. Only the small blind calls, so we're off to a flop in position heads up. The flop is ace-4-7 with 2 hearts. The small blind checks it over to me, and even though I have top pair on a pretty good board, I don't like the hearts out there, so I want to make sure I charge the draws. I bet $20, my opponent quickly folds, and I win. There is a button straddle. We're in the small blind when we look down at ace-king of diamonds. I'm going to open the action up for $20 being out of position. A very competent 2-5 player in +2 makes the call. Everybody else folds, so we're off to a flop heads up. The flop is 3-6-10 with 2 clubs. I'm going to check my action.
You said vlog?
Yeah.
Oh, you have a vlog?
You haven't been watching my vlog?
I didn't know you had one.
Yeah, you do. We talked
swear
about it
I
last time we played.
And the player in +2 down bets to $15. I decide to go ahead and peel one off, so we're off to a turn. The turn is an 8 of diamonds. This time when I check the action over, my opponent checks behind, so we're off to the river. The river is a blank that won't change anything, so I'm not going to win this hand by checking. I think I need to put a bet out there, so I bet out $40. I probably needed to go a little bit larger, but I'm having a really hard time putting this guy on a hand, and I'm not really sure if he's betting with air or with the nuts.
You're gonna learn today.
Well, I'm going to kind of find out when he re-raises to $100. All I can really beat here is a missed flush draw, and while he's capable of betting it, I'm going to give him a little bit more respect than that, so I make the fold.
You win. Show the bluff. It's good for the vlog.
What?
We're in the hijack and we look down at 8-9 of hearts. There's one limper, and when the action gets to me, I raise it up to $12. The button is thinking, and he actually looks like he wants to raise, but he just makes the call. The big blind calls as well. We're off to a flop 3 ways. The flop is Queen Jack 5 rainbow, so I flopped a gut shot. It checks over to me, and I go ahead and put a c-bet out for $26, kind of looking to try to take it down now. The button is the only caller, so we're off to the turn. The turn is a 3 of diamonds, so it's no help to me. I check, and this time the button leads out for $35. Again, I have a gut shot, but that's all I really have, so I decide to go ahead and let it go. We're in late position this time when we look down at Jack 8 of hearts. There's one early position caller before a middle position player bumps it up to $8. Looking back, this feels like either a 3-bet or a fold for me. I don't really think I should be calling here, but in the moment, I decided to just make the call. There's one other caller to my left, so we're off to a flop 3 ways. The flop is Jack 7-5 with 2 clubs, so I flop top pair on a kind of connected board. It checks to me, and I bet out for $15. The cutoff thinks about it and then makes the call. The early position player calls as well, so we're off to the turn. The turn is a 9 of diamonds, giving me top pair and a gut shot straight draw. The early position player this time leads out for $25. Liking the showdown value of my hand and the outs that I just picked up, I go ahead and decide to just call. The cutoff has other plans though, and he raises to $60. The early position player gets out of the way and it's back on to me. This opponent does have me covered, but he had also been calling and 3-betting light in my opinion. I wasn't re-raised pre-flop, so I think I can eliminate hands like ace, queen, and up. He could also have a pair plus draw just like I do. If I thought I was good on the flop, I have to love the extra equity I turned. There's going to be a lot of rivers I don't like to see, so there's really no point in just calling, so I jam all in for $180. He calls pretty quickly. That's not good. The river is a jack of spades, and I'll let you listen in from here.
Oh, that might have helped on the river.
Not quite.
No.
You don't have a 10.
What are you betting on?
You thought he had a
For a
6.
three?
Uh-oh.
Damn, I thought it was the 10.
Damn. 180.
I swear I thought it was the 10.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
You thought it was a 10?
I thought it was the 10.
Well, it's alright, buddy.
That's right. He announced straight and showed queen 8, but that's not a straight. He swears that he thought the queen was a 10. Seemed like an honest mistake. My only complaint, he takes forever to assemble the chips and pay me, but finally we get to scoop this pot in our direction.
Okay.
Sorry, man.
That'll be good for the vlog.
That's gonna make for a really good hand for the vlog.
Are we on the vlog right now?
7-card flush poker.
Shout out to Jessica, the dealer, who dealt the hand. She said she's going to check the channel out, so I hope you're enjoying it. We're in the cutoff this time, and we look down at black pocket 6s. There's an early position raised to $8. A player in middle position calls. I make the call, and the big blind calls as well, so we're off to a flop 4 ways. The flop is Jack 8 deuce with 2 spades. It checks to the initial raiser who bets $5. And then it gets to me, and I decide 5's not going to be enough, so I decide to bump it up to $17. I definitely need to be raising larger if I really want to try to force people out of hands. To no surprise, the early position player and middle position player both call, so we're off to a flop 3 ways. The turn is an 8 of diamonds, so it pairs the board, but the action checks through, so we're off to the river. The river is a 4 of diamonds, so both the straight and the flush draws missed here. The player in early position decides to lead out for $50. The player in middle position folds. The guy in the early position seems like a very competent player who's capable of putting out a healthy size bet to try to fold out weak hands. And so, with both draws missing, I end up making the call, but he shows queen 8 for trips.
I can't beat that.
In this final hand of the night, there's a button straddle. We're in the low jack, and we look down at ace jack of spades. The small blind makes the call, and when the action folds around to me, I bump it up to $17. Devin ends up making the call as well as another late position player. Everybody else folds. We're off to the flop. The flop is 9-6-10 with 2 diamonds. The action checks through here, so we're off to the turn. The turn is a king of spades. This is probably a good card for me as I'm the aggressor in this hand. So, with the action, I lead out for $31. Both my opponents end up folding. I go ahead and show the bluff since I had already determined that I was getting ready to leave, and shortly after racked up and called it a night. Alright, so there it is. An okay night. I got involved in that situation with Devin towards the beginning with the jacks. I really liked the way that I played the hand. Proud of myself for 4-betting that and not calling a 3-bet out of position. That's what I usually do. Then I got mixed up in the hand with Jack 8, and the guy thought he had a straight and he didn't. Then took a, decent sized pot down there at the end with ace jack suited. So there's plays I'm definitely proud of, some plays I'm definitely not proud of. But we are into the game for $300, out for $375, and we did it in just over 2 hours. So not terrible. If you enjoy, like and subscribe. I'm exhausted. I gotta get home. See you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more poker content. And you can follow me on Instagram at 7cardflushpoker.